Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. One man dead and a JDF soldier injured after a gun battle in Mountain View, St. Andrew. Public Health Inspectors Association calls for strong action against men who impersonated members of the profession. And later in sports, leaders and defending champions Mount Pleasant hunt for sixth straight win in JPL today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters, and here are the details. One man is dead and a Jamaica Defence Force soldier injured after a gun battle in Mountain View, St. Andrew Monday morning. The security forces have increased their presence between Jarrett Lane and Saunders Avenue. It's reported that the man was among a group of gunmen who engaged the security forces in a shootout during a special operation in the area. Two members of the security forces were also shot and are being treated. Residents accused the security forces of acting excessively and mounted roadblocks.
We want to know if this is the serve and protect where the government and the force offer us that them going to do, where it is. You can't go around and beat up people the injustice way and want people to just satisfied with it. What the people do. We're talking over this, so the soldier man said, we come out time years with the knife before him bust up we head. Well, master. Right? So we don't like we know everything glass can come off that the public can see him face from under the glass and his behavior can't be acceptable.
The protest disrupted commuters, including students, from going about their business. A section of the roadblock has since been cleared as the security forces continue to monitor the situation. Jamaica Civil Service Association JCSA president says it is becoming increasingly impatient with the tardiness of the Ministry of Finance in addressing outstanding issues. President of the association, Tesha Clark Griffiths, says it cannot be business as usual if this continues. Shamela Pullen reports.
Since the implementation of the wage component of the compensation review exercise, a number of public sector groups have complained about salary-related issues. President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Tesha Clark Griffiths, says the Minister of Finance has failed to respond to multiple communications to address the outstanding issues.
Now, we have indicated to the ministry that they should address the issue in relation to passenger mileage, reinstatement of passenger mileage. We also asked them to look at the retroactive mileage that they should have sent out from a long time ago. We also asked them to look at the overtime policy as well as uniform policy. We're still awaiting those circulars to come out. And of course, civil servants were expecting to receive their outstanding payments for December, and to date we have not done so.
Speaking at the Manchester chapter of the JCSA Long Service Awards function in Mandeville recently, Mrs. Clark Griffith says patience is growing thin.
At our church service on Sunday, the pastor indicated that he's anticipating us to give first-class service, consider ourselves as first-class citizens, and also if we are first-class citizens, we give first-class service, then Jamaica is expected to be first-class. I also remind him that if it is that we are going to give first-class service, we do need first-class pay and first-class facilities so that we can operate as first-class citizens in first-class facilities, giving first-class services, and so service excellence become innate in all government entities.
She says they're now putting the Ministry of Finance on notice that it cannot be business as usual if they continue to ignore the calls of civil servants.
And of course, we have written to the Ministry of Finance indicating what those anomalies are. And we are still not satisfied with the responses. In fact, we have not even received a response from them. Now, we're saying to the Ministry of Finance, we are raising the bar as civil servants. We're also asking you to partner with us and also for you to raise the bar so that we can deal with the issues impacting our members. And we are also saying to our members to join us as we continue to fight for what we believe that we deserve.
15 civil servants were awarded for their work in the civil service, one member serving for as long as 43 years. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
The Jamaica Association of Public Health Inspectors, JAFI, has condemned a trend of persons impersonating public health inspectors. It follows a viral video being circulated on social media of two men dressed as public health inspectors giving interviews at the recently reopened Crab Circle Eatery in Kingston. In a statement, President of the association, Michael Miles, says the men are in breach of several laws.
These men are not public health inspectors and by no means speak on behalf of public health inspectors, nor do they represent the profession. They are merely impostors who have committed the criminal act of fraud. This misrepresentation is also a breach of the Council of Professionals Supplementary to Medicines Act and Regulation.
He wants the authorities to intervene.
This association strongly condemns these actions and calls on the relevant authorities to find and take strong actions against these persons. We call on the media houses to retract the videos immediately.
Mr. Miles is urging the public to be vigilant in identifying imposters and report any suspicious activity to the police. He is also appealing for persons to immediately desist from this practice. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is underscoring the need for consultation with residents before the massive road repair project kicks off in constituencies. A $40 billion road program was announced by the government earlier this year.
So, come the second week of January, all members of Parliament will have to develop their consultation plan and submit it to the office of the Prime Minister. We are going to monitor and review that the consultations are taking place. The MPs, along with their councillors, must consult with the people. And they have to do it within 2 months, because we need to have those roads into us before the end of the financial year so that we can put them in the process to start repair.
Meanwhile, with the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC set to get 300 new buses over the next 3 years, Mr. Holness says the company must become more efficient.
You're supposed to be able to set your clock on the arrival of the bus. We want an efficient bus system that will get you to work on time in a clean and comfortable way. And so we are buying enough buses to do that, but we are also going to change up the administrative structure of the JUTC to ensure that we have a proper urban transportation system that all Jamaicans can be proud of.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. There's a call for the work of councillors to be taken more seriously by those who sit in the House of Representatives. The call comes from Chairman of the Finance Committee of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, Finlay Douglas. It comes as Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced a $22 million depushing program. Those funds will be given to the members of Parliament. An additional $5 million has also been allocated to help with indigent members in various constituencies. Mr. Douglas says the move is concerning.
At the start of this year, we heard of members of parliament getting $40 million in January for road maintenance. We heard in August another $2 million for beautification. We have heard of $300 million granted to Parliament for dengue mitigation and solid waste management cleaning up. None of these fundings have come to any of the parish councils. We're wondering really what is the real modus operandi by central government to be circumventing local government. Is it that the plot ahead is to dismantle local government? Is it that they want to bring local government back to the days where we're only responsible for cemeteries?
He says members of the PNP caucus of councillors will be strident in having their voices heard.
The politicking with the lives of our people in Jamaica must stop. It can't be that decisions, critical decisions that are made for growth and development for our people is lodged somewhere down by Duke Street, and it can't be ricocheted into our communities where local government and local governance is concerned.
The government is facing more criticism for its decision to reimpose states of public emergency in sections of the island. SOEs were declared last Thursday in St. James, Hanover, St. Catherine and Clarendon. Attorney-at-law and president of the Cornwall Bar Association, Michael Hemmings, has taken issue with what he said is the government's failure to establish a tribunal for persons detained under the SOEs to have their matters heard in court. He said lawyers are at the mercy of the police when seeking information about detainees.
If it is that you are going to breach your rights and impose a state of emergency, if you're going to have it in place, please also have the mechanisms in place to ensure that persons can go before the proper avenue to hear them, to have their matters heard, and so that a tribunal can determine if the person ought to be released or not.
The attorney said he does not believe SOEs were designed to be used as a long-term crime-fighting tool.
I share the view of ACP Chambers that the state of emergency was never designed for long-term use. And I'm happy that the police is realizing that that is not the purpose of the state of emergency. I also share his view that we will welcome any tool that is constitutional and that will support the reduction of crime. But we can't have the only tool that has been used by the government that is not used properly, and where cases are there to say that the use of the state of emergency in the ways it is being used is unconstitutional.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Political commentator Lloyd B. Smith believes the announced 100% increase in the duty-free threshold for items shipped from overseas will have limited impact on the Jamaican population. Finance Minister Dr. Nadia Clark says the move will provide more space for Jamaicans wishing to import personal items. But Mr. Smith says while the move will be well received, it might not have an effect on the majority of Jamaicans.
Let's remember that the majority of Jamaicans rely on their relatives sending them barrels, the barrel mentality. And let us not also forget that a vast majority of Jamaicans do not travel, cannot afford to travel. So I think it will have a limited impact, more so perhaps on the middle class, but I don't think it's going to have an overwhelming impact on the population.
Further afield, one of Russia's most lucrative oil trade routes since the imposition of Western sanctions over the Ukraine conflict faces a major challenge because of the drawbacks of payment in currency other than dollars, with no short-term solution in sight. For decades, the US dollar has been the currency of international oil trade, and efforts to find alternatives have been thwarted by the difficulties of conversion as well as political obstacles. The problems flared when India, which has become Russia's biggest buyer of seaborne oil, insisted in July on paying in rupees, and the trading activity nearly fell apart. And that's it for the business. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the Bermuda government says it is moving ahead with plans to join CARICOM after being given the green light by the United Kingdom to do so. In a statement to Parliament, Deputy Premier Walton Roban said discussions had been held between Premier David Burt and the Governor of Bermuda, Rena Lalge, on his intention to make an application for full membership in the 15-member CARICOM grouping. On the international scene, Vermont police in the U.S. have arrested a 48-year-old man in connection with Saturday night's shooting of 3 college students of Palestinian descent. The 3 20-year-olds were confronted and shot by the man near the University of Vermont campus in Burlington. Police said a search of the suspect's property gave investigators and prosecutors a probable cause to believe that Jason J. Eaton carried out the shooting. And Sierra Leone's President Mada Bayo has announced the arrest of most of the suspects in yesterday's attack on a military barracks in the capital, Freetown. Reports are that the armed men broke into the Key Armory, the country's largest military barracks. The attackers also raided a prison, freeing dozens of inmates before engaging in a shootout with security forces. A nationwide curfew has since been imposed.
The attackers have been repelled by a combined team of gallant security forces, and calm has been restored.
And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Simpson.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Jordan Ford will have your midday sports report.